In 2000, a family of 4 spent $100 weekly on groceries, buying milk, eggs, bread, meat, produce, and filling the cart. But today, the same groceries cost $400, showing food became 4 times more expensive in 24 years. A gallon of milk cost $2.50 in 2000, but costs $4.50 today. And a dozen eggs cost $1 then, but $4 now, showing basic staples doubled or tripled, while wages increased only 25%, creating massive affordability crisis. Your grocery bill increased 300%, but official inflation claims only 75% increase, proving government manipulates CPI to hide real inflation, stealing purchasing power, while claiming prices barely rose, making you feel crazy for noticing costs quadrupled. Corporate profits at grocery stores and food manufacturers reached record highs, with profit margins doubling since 2000, showing price increases aren't from costs but from greed, extracting maximum wealth from captive consumers who must eat regardless of price. 4 companies control 80% of beef processing, 3 companies control 70% of chicken, and 2 companies control 60% of pork, creating monopolies that set prices without competition, extracting wealth through market control, not supply and demand. Shrinkflation hides true inflation, where cereal boxes shrunk from 16 ounces to 12 ounces, but price stayed same, meaning you pay same for 25% less food, and companies pretend they didn't raise prices when they absolutely did through deception. Package redesigns disguise shrinkflation, where chips bags look same size, but contain 30% less product, using air to fill space and clever packaging to hide that you're paying more for less. And most people never notice the theft. Food manufacturers reduced quality, where real ingredients replaced with cheaper substitutes, like replacing butter with vegetable oil and sugar with corn syrup, lowering costs while keeping prices high, pocketing difference as profit while selling inferior products marketed as same. Supply chain monopolies extract wealth at every step, where 3 companies control grain storage, 4 companies control milling, 2 companies control distribution, and 4 chains control retail, creating coordinated pricing power that transfers wealth from consumers to corporations at each layer. Private equity bought food companies and manufacturers, loading them with debt, then raised prices to pay interest, transferring wealth from your grocery budget to Wall Street investors who produce nothing but extract billions annually through financial engineering, not value creation. Grocery stores profit from inflation, charging manufacturers slotting fees for shelf space, where companies pay thousands per item for placement, then pass costs to you through higher prices, creating double extraction, where both store and manufacturer profit while you pay more. Dynamic pricing coming to grocery stores, where electronic shelf labels change prices based on demand, time of day, and individual customers showing surge pricing like Uber, extracting maximum amount you're willing to pay instead of fair market price, stealing through algorithm. Loss leaders disappeared, where stores used to sell milk, bread, and eggs below cost to attract customers, but now everything is profitable, showing stores eliminated value and competitive pricing, extracting maximum profit from every item in every aisle, creating total wealth extraction. Store brands used to cost 30% less than name brands, but now only 10% less, because same companies make both and coordinate pricing, eliminating true competition and value option, forcing you to pay inflated prices with no affordable alternative available. Coupons are scams, where manufacturers offer $1 off but raised prices $2 first. So coupon makes you feel like you're saving when you're actually paying more than original price, showing psychological manipulation that tricks you into accepting higher baseline prices. Loyalty programs track your purchases, building data profiles sold to third parties for profit, plus force you to use apps, showing surveillance capitalism, where your shopping data becomes product sold for corporate profit while you receive minimal discounts in return. Buy one, get one free. Offers are deceptive, where they doubled the price, so buying 2 at new price equals old price of 2, meaning no actual discount, just pricing manipulation that makes you buy more than needed, extracting more total spending. Unit pricing supposed to help comparison, but stores manipulate, showing ounces for one item and pounds for another, making comparison impossible, deliberately confusing consumers to prevent informed decisions, allowing price extraction through information asymmetry and calculated confusion. Organic food markup is extreme, where organic milk costs $8 versus $4 for conventional, despite production cost difference being 50 cents, showing 200% markup exploiting health-conscious consumers willing to pay premium for marginally different product, creating profit extraction from fear. Expiration dates are arbitrary, where sell-by dates have no safety basis but trick you into throwing away perfectly good food, buying replacements sooner than needed, creating artificial demand that benefits manufacturers through forced repurchasing of wasted food, generating billions in unnecessary sales. Food deserts in poor neighborhoods have only dollar stores and convenience stores, charging 30 to 50% more than supermarkets, extracting wealth from poorest communities who have no transportation to reach cheaper stores, showing poverty tax that keeps poor people poor. The average family wastes 30% of groceries bought, meaning $120 weekly goes in trash, representing money paid for food never eaten, showing how pricing forces overbuying that leads to waste, benefiting corporations who profit whether you eat it or not. Grocery delivery apps like Instacart charge 20 to 30% markup plus delivery fees, plus service fees, plus tip, totaling 50% more than in-store prices, extracting massive fees for convenience, creating new middleman taking cut from every transaction, adding no value. Meal kit services like HelloFresh cost 15 per serving versus 5 cooking from scratch, showing 200% markup for convenience of pre-portioned ingredients, marketed as saving time when actually extracting wealth for minimal service, creating expensive dependency on corporate-controlled food. Food stamps and SNAP benefits haven't increased with real inflation, covering less food each year, forcing recipients to choose between eating and other necessities, showing government assistance fails to keep pace with real costs, creating deepening poverty despite supposed safety net. Farmer suicide rates highest in decades because commodity prices stayed flat while input costs tripled, meaning farmers earn less growing food while you pay more, buying it, showing wealth extracted by middlemen, corporations and processors, not going to people who grow the food. Grocery store workers are poorest employees in America, earning minimum wage with no benefits, despite working for profitable corporations, showing wealth concentration where companies profit billions, while workers qualify for food stamps, creating taxpayer subsidy of corporate labor costs through public assistance. Supply chain crisis was excuse for price increases, but after supply recovered, prices stayed elevated, showing corporations used crisis as cover to raise prices permanently, keeping profits while blaming external factors for increases. They chose to maintain, extracting maximum revenue under false pretenses. Chicken prices doubled since 2000, despite production costs remaining flat, because 4 companies control market and coordinate pricing, showing monopoly power allows price setting without justification, extracting wealth through market control, not economic necessity or actual cost increases. Beef prices tripled since 2000, but ranchers earn same amount per cow as 20 years ago, showing wealth extracted by processing monopolies in middle, who set buying price low and selling price high, capturing massive spread as pure profit, leaving producers and consumers both exploited. Corn syrup subsidies make processed food cheap but real food expensive, where government pays companies to use corn sweetener, but not to grow vegetables, showing policy designed to benefit corporations selling junk food while making healthy eating unaffordable, creating public health crisis. Food safety regulations written by industry favor big corporations over small farms, where compliance costs tens of thousands, making small farms uncompetitive, eliminating competition that would lower prices, showing regulatory capture, where rules benefit monopolies, not consumers or independent producers who could provide cheaper, better food. Walmart controls 30% of grocery market, using size to demand lowest prices from suppliers, forcing manufacturers to cut quality, reduce wages, and offshore production to meet Walmart demands, destroying American jobs and product quality, while Walmart profits from market dominance, extracting wealth from entire supply chain. Amazon bought Whole Foods and raised prices 15%, proving acquisition was about eliminating competition, not serving customers better, showing tech monopolies entering grocery to control more of economy, extracting wealth from additional sector while destroying competitors through predatory pricing, then raising prices after dominating market. Food recalls increased 300% since 2000 because profit pressure cut safety spending at processing plants, showing corporations prioritize profits over safety, selling contaminated food until caught, then paying small fines that cost less than prevention would, creating incentive structure that poisons consumers for profit. Grass-fed beef costs 15 per pound versus 7 for conventional, despite ranchers receiving same price for both, showing retailer markup exploits, premium positioning, extracting wealth from consumers, wanting better quality, creating artificial price gap much larger than production cost difference justifies maintaining massive profit margins. Gluten-free products cost 3 times regular versions, despite ingredients costing same, because companies exploit dietary needs and fears, charging premium for product that doesn't cost more to produce, showing disability tax, where people with celiac disease pay extra for basic food, creating wealth extraction from medical necessity. Baby formula monopoly controls 90% of market and prices tripled in 10 years, while parents have no choice but pay because infants require specific nutrition, showing ultimate captive market, where corporations exploit parental necessity, extracting maximum wealth from vulnerable families who cannot refuse regardless of price. School lunch prices doubled while quality declined, where 15 years ago hot lunch cost $2 with real food, but today costs $4 for processed frozen reheated meals, showing schools forced to raise prices while cutting costs, creating worse nutrition for children from lower-income families. Restaurant prices increased even more than groceries, where meal that cost $10 in 2000 costs $30 today, showing 200% increase, and smaller portions meaning you pay triple for half the food, creating double extraction through price and portion size reductions simultaneously. Fast food no longer cheap, where McDonald's meal costs $15 versus $5 in 2000, showing 300% increase, eliminating value proposition that made fast food popular, leaving no affordable food options anywhere, creating total pricing control, extracting wealth from all income levels with nowhere to escape. Tip expectations increased from 15% to 25% at restaurants, plus added to takeout orders where no service provided, showing tip creep expands costs beyond menu prices, extracting more from customers, while restaurants still pay workers minimum wage, keeping tip money instead of wages. Food inflation hits poor hardest, where wealthy spend 10% of income on food, but poor spend 30 to 40%, meaning grocery inflation takes 3 to 4 times larger share of poor family budgets, creating regressive wealth extraction that increases inequality and pushes families into poverty through basic necessity pricing. SNAP benefits provide $1.50 per person per meal, but groceries cost $5 per person per meal, showing benefits cover only 30% of real costs, forcing recipients to choose between eating and other necessities, creating designed failure of safety net that pretends to help while leaving people hungry. Food banks overwhelmed with demand, seeing 50% increase in users since 2020, showing middle-class families now require charity to eat, revealing how grocery inflation destroyed financial stability for millions who work full-time but can't afford food, showing wage failure and price exploitation. Grocery store profit margins doubled from 2% to 4% since 2000, extracting additional $2 billion annually from customers, showing stores using inflation as excuse to raise prices beyond costs, keeping difference as profit while claiming thin margins when actually doubling profitability on your increased spending. Private label control allows stores to compete with brands they sell, creating conflict of interest where stores give own products better placement, cheaper prices, and more shelf space, killing brand competition and limiting consumer choice, while extracting more profit from controlled private label with higher margins. Vertical integration means same company owns farm processing, distribution, and retail, controlling entire supply chain, eliminating competition at every level, allowing coordinated pricing that extracts maximum wealth with no market forces, preventing exploitation, showing monopoly, capitalism replaced free market competition, creating total pricing control and consumer captivity. International comparison shows Americans pay triple for same food as Europeans, where ground beef costs $7 per pound in US versus $2.50 in Germany for equivalent quality, showing American grocery prices are exploitation, not market reality, revealing monopoly pricing versus competitive markets. Farmers' markets seem expensive but actually eliminate middlemen, where you pay $8 buying direct versus $6 at store, but farmer receives 7 direct versus 2 from store showing store, takes $4 as cut, meaning farmers' markets are better value, supporting producers directly while stores extract massive spreads as parasitic middlemen. Growing own food is illegal in many places where homeowner associations ban vegetable gardens and cities restrict chickens, showing regulations designed to force dependence on corporate food system, preventing self-sufficiency that would reduce grocery spending, eliminating alternative that threatens corporate profits from captive consumers. Food stamps stigmatized despite 40 million Americans using them, including working families. Showing grocery inflation created need for government assistance among employed people, revealing wages don't cover food costs anymore, forcing public subsidy of corporate profits through taxpayer-funded assistance programs because corporations refuse adequate wages. The grocery system operates as coordinated wealth extraction machine where monopolies control production, processing, distribution, and retail at each layer, raising prices and taking cuts, leaving consumers captive to inflated costs, with no alternatives as corporations profit billions quarterly, while families struggle to afford basic food. Future looks worse where lab-grown meat will cost $20 per pound. Controlled by 3 companies, dynamic pricing will charge more at peak times, and subscription models will force monthly fees to access lower prices, creating total corporate control over food supply, extracting perpetual payments for basic survival. The working class destroyed where families earning $60,000 annually spent $25,000 on groceries, representing 40% of after-tax income, just for food, showing impossible mathematics that forces debt to eat, revealing broken system where full-time work doesn't provide basic necessities anymore. Your grandparents spent 10% of income on groceries and ate well, but you spend 30 to 40% and struggle to afford basics, showing massive wealth transfer from workers to corporations over 50 years, destroying living standards despite productivity, tripling, revealing theft, not economics. Subscribe to Money Unmasked to understand why groceries cost $400 weekly, now when they cost $100 in 2000, and how corporate monopolies exploit captive consumers, extracting maximum wealth through coordinated pricing and market control.